Ever wondered why you keep scrolling through social media instead of doing that important project? The thing that's destroying your productivity isn't laziness. It's something much more sinister. Welcome back, everyone, and today we're diving into the dark psychology behind procrastination. Picture this. Sarah, a brilliant marketing manager, sits down to write her quarterly report. Instead, 3 hours later, she's deep in a rabbit hole watching cat videos. Sound familiar? Here's what actually happens in your brain during those moments. Your limbic system, the primitive part, screams, "Danger," when facing difficult tasks. But here's the plot twist that changes everything about how you see procrastination. Procrastination isn't about time management. It's about emotion management, pure and simple. Dr. Tim Pitchell from Carleton University spent 20 years studying this phenomenon extensively. His research revealed something shocking. Procrastinators aren't avoiding the task itself at all. They're desperately trying to escape the negative emotions that task triggers inside them. Boredom, anxiety, frustration, self-doubt. These feelings hit harder than physical pain sometimes. Your brain literally treats difficult emotions like actual physical threats to your survival. So you reach for that dopamine hit. Social media, snacks, meaningless busy work. But here's where it gets really interesting and completely changes the game forever. Every time you procrastinate, you're actually training your brain to fear that task more. It's like feeding a monster. The more you avoid, the bigger it grows. Meet James, a software developer who put off learning a new programming language. Each day he delayed, the task felt more impossible, more threatening, more overwhelming. 6 months later, what started as a 2-week project felt like climbing Everest. But here's the hope, and the solution that actually works in real life. The secret isn't willpower, time blocking, or any of those productivity hacks you've tried. It's something called emotion regulation. And it's simpler than you think right now. First, acknowledge the feeling without judgment. I notice I'm feeling anxious about this. Don't fight it, don't suppress it. Just observe it like a curious scientist. Research shows this simple acknowledgement reduces the emotional intensity by 30% immediately. Next, use the 2-minute rule, but not how you think it works. Commit to feeling uncomfortable for just 2 minutes while working on the task, not finishing it, just sitting with the discomfort while making any progress. Your brain learns that these emotions won't actually kill you after all, surprisingly. Lisa, a freelance writer, tried this with her article that she'd avoided for weeks. Day 1. 2 minutes of uncomfortable writing, feeling anxious but surviving it completely. Day 2. The anxiety was noticeably weaker, the task less threatening than before. By day 7, she was writing for hours without that paralyzing fear. But there's another layer that most people miss entirely in their recovery journey. Perfectionism, the silent killer of progress, and the fuel that feeds procrastination endlessly. When you demand perfection, your brain interprets any attempt as potential failure and shame. So it chooses the safety of not trying over the risk of imperfection. The antidote? Embrace what researchers call satisficing. Good enough for now, not forever. Your first draft doesn't need to be brilliant. It just needs to exist. Think of it like sculpting. You need clay before you can create art. Here's a powerful technique that transforms procrastination into momentum almost instantly in practice. Implementation intentions, but with an emotional twist that changes everything about your approach. Instead of, "I will work on my project at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning," try, "When I notice anxiety about my project, I'll take 3 breaths and open the document." You're programming your brain to respond differently to the emotional trigger that usually derails you. Mark, an entrepreneur, used this to finally tackle his business plan he'd avoided completely. Every time he felt that familiar dread, he'd breathe and take one small action. 3 weeks later, he had a complete business plan and a new relationship with discomfort. But here's the most important part that determines whether you'll actually succeed long-term or not. Self-compassion beats self-criticism every single time in creating lasting change and genuine progress. When you slip back into procrastination, and you will, treat yourself like a good friend. This is hard. Most people struggle with this. I'm learning, and that's perfectly okay. Research by Dr. Kristen Neff shows self-compassion actually increases motivation, not decreases it like we fear. Harsh self-criticism triggers shame, which feeds directly back into the procrastination cycle endlessly and destructively. But self-compassion breaks that cycle and creates space for genuine growth and lasting transformation. There's also a neurochemical component that most productivity advice completely ignores and misses entirely. Dopamine isn't just about reward. It's about the anticipation of reward and progress. When tasks feel too big, your brain can't anticipate completion, so dopamine drops. Solution: break everything into dopamine-sized chunks that feel achievable and create momentum toward your goal. Not just smaller tasks. Tasks where you can vividly imagine finishing within reasonable time. Write 500 words instead of finish the report completely by the end of today. Your brain can picture completing 500 words, so dopamine flows and motivation follows naturally. Emma, a graduate student, transformed her dissertation writing using exactly this approach with amazing results. Instead of work on dissertation, she'd commit to write one paragraph about methodology today. Each completed paragraph gave her a hit of achievement dopamine, building unstoppable momentum forward. 6 months later, she'd written 200 pages without the usual dissertation paralysis and anxiety. Here's another game-changing insight that flips traditional productivity advice completely on its head and transforms everything. Your environment is either supporting your procrastination or fighting it. There's no neutral ground. That phone within arm's reach? It's not just tempting, it's actively hijacking your attention every few seconds. Even when it's silent, your brain allocates processing power to resist checking it constantly. Studies show productivity increases 40% when phones are in another room entirely, not just turned off. But it goes deeper than just removing distractions. You need to add positive environmental cues, visual reminders of your goals, tools that make starting easier, spaces that trigger focus. Rachel, a marketing consultant, redesigned her office with this principle in mind and saw incredible results. Her laptop stayed open to the document she needed to work on next. Within 2 weeks, she was tackling difficult tasks without the usual hour of preparation and procrastination. The final piece of this puzzle involves something called temporal reframing that changes your entire relationship with tasks. Instead of thinking, I have to do this forever, think, I'm choosing to do this now. Instead of, this is so hard, try, this is hard right now, and that's temporary. These small language shifts literally rewire your brain's perception of challenge and create new neural pathways. Your future self will thank you for the discomfort you're willing to feel today. Because here's the truth nobody talks about. Procrastination is borrowed suffering with interest added daily. Every day you wait, the emotional weight grows heavier and the task feels more impossible. But every moment you choose discomfort over avoidance, you're investing in freedom from that burden. So tomorrow, when you feel that familiar urge to scroll instead of start, remember this. Your procrastination isn't a character flaw. It's an emotional protection system that's outlived its usefulness completely. And with the right tools, you can retrain your brain to see challenges as adventures rather than threats. Start small, be kind to yourself, and watch as procrastination loses its power over your life forever. What task have you been avoiding that you're ready to tackle now? Share in the comments below.